Hey, good to have you back. Hey, we are experts at this now, guys. Episode number two. Episode number two. One more than episode number one. I'd like to welcome Mr. Shane Bird there, good mate, and Mr. Eric Sommerfeld. How are you guys?
Very good, mate. Very good. Just ticking along nicely.
Yeah, feeling unstoppable today. Just had a new PB on back squats this morning in the gym. So awesome start in the week.
Yeah, fantastic. Hey, and speaking of back squats? Is that what you said?
Yes.
What are some other wins, or what happened in last week for you fellas? Shane, you want to go first?
Sure. Last week was we had our 3-day business bootcamp that we've all been a part of before. So it was a good win just to be able to support in the background there. Just trying to remember what happened earlier in the week. I think sort of like for me, a lot around just learning lots more around young Ezra. Like you guys know, Ezra's 8 weeks old. My older two boys are 20 and 21. So just learning more around putting routines in place for him, like really trying to implement routines. He's having a bit of a growth spurt, a little bit grizzly at the moment. So how do you, actually probably a good lesson or something that we could talk about on another episode is how do you create a routine when they're out of routine? So, he was in a good routine of sort of sleeping and just stuff like that. But because he's grizzly, then it throws our routine out as well. So, how do we all as fathers who are busy working and stuff cope with a routine like that? So a win for me last week would have been learning to adapt to that, the inconsistency that can be pushed upon us externally.
Yeah, definitely, mate. And like just from experience, when you think you've got a routine nailed,
she's all out the window.
Cool. Hey, like one of the things for us, like busy week work-wise is work, right? But with our family being busy, one of our traditions as a family that we set up is at the end of every school term, we go out as a family to have dinner, to celebrate and acknowledge all the hard work that the boys have put in, to score for that term. Right. So, instead of going to dinner, because school's another 2 weeks away, an opportunity came up to get some tickets to the circus, and the boys have never been to the circus. So Saturday was a big day for us, because one, boys love animals, right? And we're fortunate enough to live close to the Australian Reptile Park. So we buy an annual pass. So we thought, hey, let's go because I haven't been in a while. And they love seeing Elvis, big, massive croc get fed and Tassie Devils fight each other and all the boy things, right? And we went to the circus. Classic circus, big tent. No animals. It's changed. There's no animals in circus anymore. There are heaps of acrobats, clowns, all that kind of stuff. And the boys just loved it, right? They just loved it because they'd never experienced it. And we always try to tie these things into just some sort of acknowledgement of their efforts and their I said efforts, but like efforts and persistence for that particular term in school, because we want to continue. For us, for Carly and I, it's about making sure that we see them, right, and all the hard work that they put in, and more so the taking advantage of the opportunities and putting their hands up for opportunity. We want to reward that, but also just to create more memories as a family. Like we always looking to create experiences and record them, and so that needless to say, circus always ends late, so they were completely shattered, and they were a bit shitty on Sunday because they were tired. But hey, all the sacrifices we make to create memories with each other. So that was the big thing for us over the last week.
Awesome wins, guys. Maybe I got one more for something really profound, which is about cleaning the house. So I'm maybe not the tidiest person. Sometimes the grass out here, you guys know my backstory with the backyard and the grass. Maybe that's a story for another time. But cleaning, and I had this conversation with Tiff about what can we do to have more connection in our relationship, because life is busy. with a 2-year-old and working full time, both of us. And she said one thing about that she can't really relax when the house looks like a mess. So that means what I've done over the weekend was very stressful, bit all over the place. So last night I spent 1 hour this morning to clean the house. So the house looks nice and neat. Yeah. So Tiff came down, was really happy. I wrote her a little note on the desk when she started to work this morning, like little things. But I know that will make a big difference. But that was my big win, for our relationship, doing this little effort of 1 or 2 hours, which I know or hope will, have a lot of benefits in the future.
Yeah, it's so true, right? Like, just to piggyback off that, Eric, like I saw or read something ages ago. It's not so much, I don't expect, and from a male perspective, I don't expect my partner or wife to, do the cleaning because I'm not a child. It's our home together, so we work and do things together. All right. And so that leads into, it's a nice segue into what we're going to talk about now. It's that parenthood, right? And over the weekend, a memory popped up on my social media, and it was the time where Kai got a bee sting. Okay, so he was probably 4 at the time. Leo was 2. Kai and I were out the front. I was helping him learn how to ride his bike. Carly was downstairs with Leo. He fell off his bike. Kai fell off his bike as he was riding. Landed on the grass. Nothing happened. Like, it was all good. But as he lay on the grass, a bee stung him, right? And so all of a sudden, it was like a nice, happy kid, and then he just started screaming. Okay. So I, naturally concerned dad went over to check out what happened, but he just kind of like, I wasn't there. He just completely dismissed me and ran straight inside and straight to seek out Carly, get the mother's love. So that kind of like, seeing that kind of made me relive that moment again. And it kind of, at that moment in time, I was like, why am I here then? Am I just here just to lift the hard things? Am I here to just like carry them? Am I here to, just make money to provide? What's the role of the dad in a family dynamic and perhaps even in today's society? I'd love to, have a conversation about this because it doesn't get brought up a lot. I don't think. Anyone?
We don't know. Look, the first thing that comes to mind would be, I don't think there is any role of a dad because everyone's environment is going to be different. Like, yourself and Carly going to be different. Your role in that house is going to be different to what it is for Eric and Tip in their house, say with me and Jade here too. So I think it's the role of a dad is going to be determined through the conversation of the parents of like, hey, look, how do you want me to support you? How can we support each other in this environment? And how are we going to parent? Like, what are the rules? Not rules, but what are our structure around parenting, and how do we, what do we do as a mother, as a father, or together and stuff like that? So, yeah, I don't think there's a one real answer to that. Obviously, back when that happened a few years ago, Kai was out there with the front with you. Like, he obviously just thought that mum was the healer or mum was the patch me up one, and dad was just probably the show me how to do something, and mum was the patch me up one. So maybe that was just the way they saw it. So yeah, I guess, yeah, interesting question.
Definitely, and I'm sure we have experienced different roles as well. I'd love to get your take, Eric.
Yeah, I was just thinking, obviously, I don't have that much real life experience because only 2-year-old girl. But obviously there are already certain things that we notice. For example, if Sophia wants something, she goes to mom. She's not coming to me. So even the 2-year-old already knows, because I'm usually the one who's saying no, saying, okay, now it's enough screen time. It's enough of the sweet stuff here. So I would say it's this different roles in a certain way. And I guess it's all about calibrating on the outcome. Like if there's something, that a child is struggling with, and then having the conversation, and as the parents together, what can we do? Is it maybe leaning too much towards one side, which is maybe too much easygoing, or is it like too much strict? And I guess having a conversation around that principles, and I also think it changes with like the situation, a bit like Shane said about the environment, but also the age of the child. So, but I think it's a good opportunity if something like this is happening to really reflect, what's my role? What do I add to the family? Why is what I'm doing important? And then, if I maybe don't feel important enough, then is that really true? Or, can I maybe do more? Can I spend more quality time, or whatever it is possibly?
Yeah. And it's real interesting, right? Because even now, so and it's probably something that I've grown up with. Like, one, I'm not really that open. I keep working on that. Yeah. And so if there's something that's happening at school, right? Kai would just not tell me, but rather tell Carly. Okay. And I'm working, and Carly and I have noticed this, and we're working on making him feel like it's okay to share with me as well. And so so this ties into with the role, because sometimes, and it could change, is our role kind of predetermined by others? Yeah. And if we wanted to shift that role, if we want to say I want Kai to share a bit more open with me, like how would I go about that? Like, because we want to be patient, we want him to be, we can't just tell him, hey, be open with everyone. You can tell me anything, right? It just doesn't happen that way, as you guys know, with kids, and even with adults, right? How do we go about perhaps having shifting roles, perhaps having more clarity around roles? Yeah.
I think the first thing is if we want our kids to be more open with us, is for us to be open with them, and just show them that it's okay to talk about those vulnerabilities and those weaknesses, and just in an environment, just go, oh, hey, look, this was happening today, and I was a bit frustrated or a bit upset about this, and have that conversation with them, not to put the load on them, but for them to recognize that it's actually okay to talk to anyone, to the right people, not anyone, but talk to everyone within the family about that. So I think that'd be the first thing. And then to get the clarity around the roles, I guess that's a conversation. That could be a family conversation, especially with the age that the boys are now, like around the table of, hey, look, if this happens, who would you go and talk to? If something happens at school, would you rather talk to mum or dad, or would you feel safe to, or feel open enough to talk to both of us or whatever? Because we don't want them to be coming home and having to wait for mum to come home 2 hours later to talk about something, right? They should be able to really open up to both of us.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
That's a good point. Yeah, I really like that, Shane.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we're always told to be the role model. Yeah, and I guess it's something we also, I guess, putting it out there is, and that's why we're having these conversations, that sometimes it's not easy to be that role model that you want to be as well. And so if you can see the long-term benefits, sometimes you just gotta bite that fear, or bite that part of your ego, and just let it go, because at the end of the day, we all want what's best for our kids.
Yeah, I'd even say, like, to be the role model, but what is the role model? Who determines what the role model is? Like, sure, we want to be a role model or the role model, but what does that look like, and what's the best role model we can be, not just as a father, but as a couple or as a parent, working together, or a family member, because we are just another family member. When you put us all together, we're all just part of the 4 or 5 of us, or however many there are. So it's more about what is that role model, and how do we best portray that for them.
Yeah, 100%. Mr. Sommerfeld.
Nothing really to add. I think Mr. Bird nailed it. Really nailed it. It starts with the bars. That's what I would say. Like, you made this conversation effective. So what did you do about like screen time? It's always the best example, I guess, in the time we're living in. So we telling our kid not to be on the screen, but then I'm on the phone constantly and checking messages and stuff comes up. Then who am I to tell my child not to be on the screen? So I think that's the road as well done, and find like ways how we can be more effective in our work, and then really blocking out this time when we with family or with the kids to be really focused on them, and work is work and family is family time.
Yeah. And just want to understand, like, it's the toughest gig we're ever going to have, right? Well, everyone says it. And I want to, like, what you guys have said there around role models and around social media. I don't know about you guys, or if your social media feed was full of this stuff, but for me, it seemed like every second person I knew was going to the UFC event in Sydney over the weekend. Yeah. And did you guys, any of you guys, like, do any kind of martial arts or combat training growing up as kids or anything like that?
Not really. Not as a kid. Nah, not as a kid. I tried jiu-jitsu. I started last year and lasted 5 weeks and blew my knee out and haven't been back. Had a knee operation. So it was disappointing. It was disappointing because I was really interested in it, and not just from that, I want to beat someone up, but more the self-discipline and the control. So for me, that was why I was doing it. I was doing it to put myself in uncomfortable positions, and I found massive value out of it in the 5 weeks I did it. But it's the knee's still no good. Like, I just had the operation. It's like I can run on it, but it's still, as soon as I twist it, it'll just blow again. So it's a bit of a shape.
Yeah. And did you do like you were in the armed forces? Did you do any kind of that?
Yeah, you learn your sort of self-protection, hand-to-hand combat. But we didn't do a lot of it. It was just enough really to sort of fight your way out of it. A wet paper bag if you're lucky, I guess. But we didn't do it in depth amount of it.
Or beat up a sheep?
Nah. No, mate. No, I don't know what you're talking
about. And Eric, so no kind of martial arts or anything like that for you growing up?
Yeah, not really. I mean, I'm raised by a single mom, so maybe that's an impact as well there.
Yep.
And then I was playing volleyball, so that was my thing, and I was at the sports school for that, and that was quite like full time there next to school. So I done a bit of jiu-jitsu as well. Started maybe 3 years ago. Done like 2 or 3 months, similar to like Shane, and then pandemic came, and still got a uniform here, so it reminds me always. So definitely something that I want to get back into. So I see the benefit, tune more into this masculine energy, so that I maybe never really tuned in that much by I said last week, and having a lot of females around me. So yeah, so I think it's good to tune into this masculine energy a bit more through the fighting.
Yeah. So growing up, I did like a Korean style martial arts for 6-7 years, and one of the reasons why I stopped that is because at the time they put a ceiling on the belt level you can get if you were under 16. I couldn't progress any further. And then similar to yourself, pre-COVID, I took up kickboxing again because I wanted to be active, get fit, and that kind of stuff. So there's a difference when you participate, but there's also a difference when events like the main event, like the UFC, was on over the weekend, and it's promoted heavily, and it's the promotion of the violence that they use as entertainment, right? So love to just have a chat around. And get your thoughts around, hey, should we be using like promotion of violence, period? And two, what happens to kids, or do we know what happens to kids when they're exposed to these I guess not so much the martial arts, but the violence that's in everyone's faces that's highlighted as entertainment. Yeah, fellas.
Yeah, I mean, I think you just said a difference there. Like UFC, it's more entertainment, and I think if we go to the martial arts club down the street, that's actually martial arts, and all of the discipline and the camaraderie and skill development, and especially with the belts, you have to really work hard for it. Like in jiu-jitsu, I think it takes like about 2 years of consistent training to get like to blue belt, which is the next belt after the white belt. So I guess that's the difference. Definitely for entertainment purposes, UFC, they know that sells, the violence there, and I would say maybe something to question ourselves if we should expose our kids to this part of martial arts or fighting. But then on the other hand as well, I'm thinking, they will get exposed anyways to it, like through school or like through other kids. They have it on their phone, and we know now with the internet, so easy to get access. And then do we want them to explore that by themselves and not telling us, similar to the conversation that we had before, or do we want to bring it in their awareness and have conversations around? So I think that's something to think about.
Yeah, I look at it like, what meaning do we give to it? Like, you could give it meaning to, the UFC, that it's all just violence. But I look at the UFC and I go, I'm looking at the discipline and the technicalities of those guys that are applying. Like, I see them as some of the most disciplined people on the planet and the most consistent people, and the technique, to understand the technical side of being able to manipulate your body into doing something to be able to get some sort of outcome. So I look at it through that way. But if we expose the kids and go, look at them beating the shit out of each other, they're going to take on it, beating the shit out of them, and they're going to look at it through the lens of violence. But if you sit down with them and go, look at the discipline and the control that these guys have, they'll start learning through that. And it's again, for me, it's just whatever meaning or the lens that we're looking through it on. And this is, we might lose all our listeners. I hope we don't lose all our listeners now, but it was the same with rodeo. Like, people look at rodeo as, oh, look at them just trying to abuse that animal. For me, it was never that. It was, how can I work with that animal? It was all stockmanship, and that's how rodeo was born. It was all out of the different events that well, not the events, but all the tasks that the ranchers were doing on the range. And then they went, well, how can we work with, improve our quality to do that and do it faster and more efficiently? So for me, everything in rodeo is, how do they best work with an animal? How can I become a better stockman? It's nothing to do with abusing the animal at all, nothing at all. But then some people from the outside, they look at it and they go, oh, look at that, that's rubbish, they shouldn't be doing that. But they don't see the greatness that can come from that. And, kids in rodeo just learn so much about self-discipline and working with another creature rather than just with another human. They learn so much about themselves as well. So many positive aspects. And then same with the UFC, so many positive aspects from that as well.
Yeah, so cool. And so for me, like, one of the key reasons why I put into karate is because I got picked on, right? So we wanted to have like some self-defense strategies, and proud to say I never I lied, I did use it a couple of times where I was picked on, but I didn't initiate, I didn't throw the first punch, right? It was always kind of like a self-defense kind of scenario. And so I hear that we have to control the narrative around it. I hear that we create the meaning that we want for our kids, especially like with the boys. Like, and I wrestle for my boys quite frequently, and they're getting pretty big, and they're starting to beat me up a bit. The environment of USC though is kind of like something different altogether, right? So I guess, would you guys take your friends to like a UFC show and put them in that environment and get them to expose them to all that testosterone of not just the fighters, but also in the crowd as well? Is that a narrative we're able to control? I'm not sure, because it's pretty, you get caught up in the moment, right? Herd mentality. Hell.
Exactly. I mean, if they showed an interest in it, like if I'd seen it on TV, or I'd been watching it on TV, and they were like, oh, what's this? And they sat down and showed an interest, and it was coming to Sydney again or something, then sure, if they wanted to go, I'd go. But again, with that, through the lens of like having that conversation, preparing them to know that it's not just about beating the crap out of each other. It's like, look at the discipline and the control and the technicalities that these guys are going into, whatever you want to look at through, whatever lens, rather than it just being, let's go see how much blood we can bloody mop up off the floor.
Yeah, yeah, cool. Eric, and yeah, you've got a daughter, right? How would you feel about taking Sophia to I guess even some female, male or female, like mixed martial arts fights?
Good question, man. Good question. I mean, spoke about masculine energy before, so the fighting is more like a masculine thing. So maybe similar to what Shane said, if she's interested in that. But I would also then, if she would be interested and we would go, I would talk about the stories behind. If you look like it easy, and then Sean Strickland, who just got the title on the weekend. So if you see their backstories, where they came from and how hard they worked to be there and how long they are in the business of fighting to get to this point, right? That's like really the story that I would put the focus on and make the conversation about, not just about to do the head in to each other, right? And the blood and all of that stuff. Yeah, I think that's my take.
I'll be honest, I'll go. I'll take my boys. Carly won't let me take them. Doesn't matter what story, doesn't matter what meaning we give it, doesn't matter what what narrative we spin on it. She'll be like, nah, not going. And that's just a difference between male and female psychology as well. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just we're different. Like she straight up told me that if I ever get a motorbike again, that I'm gonna be a single parent.
Is that why I saw you in the motorbike shop last week, Clint?
That's all right.
Terrible Honda.
Break. Need a break.
Terrible Honda.
And just want to clarify, like Shane mentioned the rodeo, right? Wrestling a couple of sheep's not rodeo, mate.
That wasn't at the rodeo, mate. But what you've got sheep out your backyard, mate. You see sheep more than I do now, so I'm more worried about you.
That's old. So, guys, yeah. So, just really great chat. Especially, it's really relevant. Let's be honest. UFC is going to keep growing and growing. There's going to be more of these kind of events happening. There's going to be more fighters, and so what that means is they're just going to be exposed. Our kids are just going to be exposed to more of these events that weren't happening when we were growing up. I don't know about you guys, but the closest thing to the UFC was like Hulk Hogan and wrestling.
Yeah.
And for the longest time, I thought that was real.
That's not? What do you mean? Is it not real?
Yeah. Man.
Oh, you'd probably tell me Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny aren't real too.
No, they're real for sure. So if we can, just have an open, honest conversation about this and how we can, I guess, make sure that I don't want to say manage, but make sure that we are doing what's best for our kids, and then we can make sure that they are getting, understanding the real story or managing the story behind that benefits them. Then yes, they can attend these events and still not let it, I guess, harm or let them take anything away that's unresourceful, right, or negative from it, because it's entertainment. As we all said, it's entertainment, right? But we want to use it in a way that kind of helps us, and understand it in a way that helps us. So, hey guys, we're gonna wrap up for episode number 2, guys. Nice chat. Shane, just quickly, where can everyone find you again while we're still setting up our website and email?
Yeah, man. Just look me up on Facebook, Shane Bird, and I've got a group that anyone can join. If you just type in a browser, elitecoachgroup.com, find me there.
Yeah,
awesome. And Eric, yourself?
Yes, same for me. Facebook is the best place. Eric Sommerfeld. You see how it's been spelled here with the big beard. You will find me. and then send me a message and we can have a chat.
And same with me, guys. I'm probably the only Asian guy who kind of like paddle boards or skateboards. So, have a look at that, and you'll see me in my flano or this space in my profile pic, and just shoot us a connect. So, guys, if there's any topics that you want us to chat about, or if there's anything about, Todd's dad boss,